Hello and welcome to this week's Children's Spot. It's very different from last time I did this when it was 30 degrees and we were talking about ice cold drinks after adventures in the desert. Today it's raining, it's been raining all day, and that's very appropriate. It's been soft, refreshing rain, as it says in the hymn, because this week we're thinking about God's abundant crop and we're thinking about the parable of the sower. So here's my little vegetable garden. And in the front here you can see some dwarf beans. They've just got some flowers on, so hopefully those are going to set and have beans. There's some rhubarb, we've had some of that already. Some runner beans climbing up their poles to the top, and some broccoli. And the first thing you'll notice is about the broccoli is it doesn't look too good, does it? And that's because some pigeons, we think, have come along and thought that looks a bit tasty and they've had a go at it, and we don't know if that broccoli is going to work now. That's why we put some chicken wire over. And not all the beans are doing well. This one in the middle here, that stopped growing up the pole because there was a big wind one night and it wasn't wrapped around and it snapped off. So that's not going to make it to the top like its friends. And down here amongst the dwarf beans, you'll see that there's a lot of weeds growing. And if I don't get my hoe out and start hoeing up those all those little weeds there, then that's going to stop us getting an abundant crop of beans. So I've come back inside now, and I'd like to introduce to you David, my son, who amazingly is training to be a vicar. And David's just making sure that his dog Bessie doesn't jump up on him there. And she might do in a minute, but that's okay. So David, we were looking at the vegetables outside and seeing how they were struggling against the pigeons and the weeds and the winds, and in the parable of the sower, Jesus tells us that there's going to be thistles and stony paths and birds as well. How can we avoid these things in our lives to make sure that we can bear the great crop that Jesus wants us to bear?
Well, I think in the parable itself, Jesus talks about the one seed that's planted in good soil. And that term good soil, he doesn't say away from the birds or this one seed fell in a place where there was no thorns. He says good soil. So the implication there is that these things aren't avoidable. The wind and the rain and the birds and the thorns, they'll come whatever. But the implication of the parable is that the seed that falls into good soil will be able to sprout and germinate and grow and nurture itself and become tall and healthy despite the presence of all of these things, not apart from them.
And what's that good soil, that good rooting in real life?
I think in all of our lives that means a deep connection. Our roots have to go deep wherever we're planted, with God and with our communities, with our friends, with the people that we love. It means being connected to your church. I think it means being connected to those around you. It means having a healthy life of prayer. All of these things just help to nurture you and to help you to grow into the fully blossoming humanity that God wants for us.
Great. And so we can all aim for God's abundant crop if we are well rooted.
We can.
Thank you.
Hello. Welcome to this week's Children's Church. And we're thinking about the parable of the sower, if you remember, and Jesus saying that the farmer threw his seed on the ground, and some fell on stony ground, and some on the path, and some fell amongst thistles and was choked, but some was in good soil and grew up and gave abundant crops. So I thought we'd do some planting. I've got to admit, I'm doing a bit of cheating here because instead of growing from seed, I've got a lovely plant here which I've just gone down and got from the shops, if I'm perfectly honest. But you could get a plant like that, and maybe your mum or dad might have a plant that could be planted, and it's good fun planting if you haven't done it. First you need a nice big hole. I'm going to dig myself a hole here, and then what do we need? Oh, there's a big stone in there. I need to get the stones out. And then what do we need in the we need a little bit of water like that. And we need a bit of fertilizer. put some of that in there as well. And all of this will help it grow strongly. See, because if you look at this, it's got lots of buds, but they're not coming out. But they'll only come out if it has good soil and it's well rooted. I'm going to tease these roots out so that they want to work their way into the soil. So here's my good soil. Put it in nice and deep and surround my good soil and press it down nice and firmly. So it's quite easy. And when I've done that, I need to water it. Water it in. There we go. And if I come back and water that a bit more, that will grow big and strong. So it's like us in the church. We need the good soil of church. We need the fertilizer of the people that we talk to and the people that inspire us and the people that help us get out good stuff out of the soil. And water, we water it with prayer to keep our prayer life together. So those three things, I think that's what we'll need. And I've got another plant which I'll plant for you in a moment, and we'll do it all again.